Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you get your questions in and we give you answers. And normally, those questions are property related, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, we are the property podcast, so it kind of makes sense, right? But remember, you can open that up. So if you want to ask about personal development, economics, business, or even if you're curious about what we do and what we're up to, then feel free to ask us questions about those topics too. We often cover them on the podcast as well. So now that we've opened the field up and let you know that we can answer more than just property questions, we better remind you of how you can get your question in.
Oh, yep, that hasn't changed. Just call 013 808 0035. That's 013 808 0035. Or alternatively, you can go to propertyhub.net/ask. Both of those methods will allow you to send us a voicemail. You can re-record it if you get it wrong. Don't worry, we often do. And then your question will wing its way across to us for us to answer, just like we're about to now for Lil.
Hi, Rob and Rob. Firstly, I just want to say a big thank you for your podcast and allowing us listeners to put all our questions in, which I do find really, really helpful, and I'm sure everyone else does too. So my situation is that I have a residential property that I live in London, and I have a buy-to-let that I own in Liverpool. I'll be moving cities soon for work, and I'll need a bigger place. And so because it's quite a quick one, I'll be changing my residential, renting that out and renting in a different city in a larger property. In the future, I'll need to start making some choices about my next purchases, and I'm thinking about whether to seek to buy a residential property that's bigger and that serves my needs as I grow and evolve, or whether to use that money to focus on adding to my buy-to-let portfolio and therefore continuing to rent. It's always quite a toss-up, and I'm not really sure which direction to go. So I'd love to have some advice from you on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Lil. Two fine cities you already own in. I wonder where is next for you. Wherever your move is to, good luck. Actually, I can answer this. Or I can give you some advice, because I can tell you what I would do. And I would rent to begin with. And that's not actually based on a financial decision. That we'll come to. But in the beginning, if you move city, I think there's a real advantage to begin with to rent. So you can understand that city. Now, you may know it a little bit already, but it's only when you live in a city that you truly get to know it. And I think the flexibility that renting can give you is going to be really useful to you in this case. I've done it myself when I've moved cities. I've rented to begin with. When I moved to London, I moved to different areas. I got to experience the city. I rented in the beginning. Now I own because I know where I want to live, and that's absolutely fine. And that works for me. But I think renting gives you a real advantage when you move into a new area to make sure that you're picking the right area for you. You can, on paper, think you've picked the right area, but when you move, you go, I wish I lived 2 miles up the road. Well, with renting, you can do that. Because when you buy a property, you're going to incur costs. I know you know that, but you're going to be forking out. Renting will make it a lot easier to move into somewhere and then move out again. So on a personal level, I would recommend renting to begin with. Now, what you do after that is really up to you and what's more important to you. I can tell you financially what to do, and probably financially, buying a buy-to-let over another home for yourself is probably going to be the right thing to do, because financially, you can look at the whole country, pick the very best area to invest in, and maximize your returns. Now, the chances that the area you're moving to and would want to live in is the best area to invest in right now are slim to none. So financially, the right thing to do would be to buy another buy-to-let. But however, you have to live while you're making that extra income and extra return. And it may be too big of a compromise for you to have a slightly smaller place or continue to rent in for the long term. And that's absolutely fine. As I've already said, I own my own home. Now, could I sell my home and invest all the money into investments that would do better financially than owning this property that I live in? Absolutely. But am I considering doing it? No way, not at all. Because I'm at a point in life right now that I want that security. I want that place that I can call home, something I can settle into. So making a decision that is not completely financial is absolutely fine. You're not a robot. You know, you have emotions, you have other needs other than just making the best returns possible. So weigh it up. Are you willing to make some sort of compromise when it comes to the place you live in? If you are really comfortable with that, then fantastic. Go for the financial decision. But if you feel right now in your life that you want your own home for whatever reason, and that's more important to you than just a bit more return, then you kind of know which way to go. So we can't tell you what to do, but we can help you frame the scenario and the situation, and then hopefully you can make the best choice for yourself.
Some great advice there for Lil. Let's see what we can do for Bern.
Hi, Rob and Rob. Thanks for putting out your podcast. I find the content really inspiring and they've motivated me on my property journey. So I've got a question regarding mortgages. So I own 2 buy-to-let properties, one in my personal name and one in a limited company. I'm looking to get another one in my limited company, and then after that look to purchase a residential property for myself. I was wondering, when I come to purchase that residential property for myself, will I have any issues getting a mortgage, considering I've already got 3 other properties? Just want to know your thought on this, as I don't want to be in a position where I can't purchase a house myself. Thanks, guys. Really love the content again, and look forward to seeing your response.
Bern, great news in that we've got great news and it's a pretty unequivocal answer. Often when we're giving advice like, well, it depends on this, depends on that, you have to ask so-and-so. In this case, it's pretty straightforward. Unless there's something that you haven't mentioned in your question that we're unaware of, you shouldn't have any trouble with this at all. In fact, you're more likely to have trouble the other way around. It tends to be the case that if you don't have a residential property, then trying to get buy-to-let mortgages is more challenging. There are some lenders, there are many lenders actually, who are not interested in lending to you unless you're a homeowner. You can argue about whether that makes any sense or not, but nevertheless they do. So getting your first buy-to-let mortgage or two when you don't have any experience and you're restricted in your market because you're not a homeowner is tough. However, you've already overcome that challenge. You've got your buy-to-let properties already, and now you're looking for your own residential mortgage, and there's no reason why having buy-to-lets should impair you in doing that. When they're assessing you for a residential mortgage, they'll be looking at your income, they'll be assessing your financial position. Your portfolio will be looked at, but assuming that it's profitable and the debt levels are okay, then having some assets behind you should actually help rather than hinder, if anything, and you will be good to go. However, we say this on the podcast all the time. We've said it recently, but I'll say it again. Do speak to a broker early in the process. It's always worth checking because your situation sounds relatively straightforward. Other people's situations are less straightforward. But even in your case, there may be something that you just haven't thought to mention. But if someone asks you the right questions, it brings it up. And it could be that by knowing about it, it's something that you can resolve in advance to make sure that the right options are there when you need them. So even though it sounds like it's good news all round, do go speak to a broker soon just for extra reassurance. Make sure that there's nothing else you need to do to maximise your chances, and then that mortgage should be there for you when you need it.
So thank you, Lil. Thank you, Bern, for your questions. Hopefully you found that useful, and hopefully you listening found it useful as well. If you'd like your question answered, whether it's property related or something else, then get it in. If it's a subject we have half an idea about, we'll do our very best to answer. We'll be back next week with Ask Rob and Rob, but of course, the main event, the property podcast, will be here on Thursday, so we look forward to that. Until then, take care, have fun, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.